Hello there guys, Below10,000 here, bringing you another episode of Rate Their Chances, the series where we rate the chances of potential newcomers making it into the base roster of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, based off of the thread of the same name over on Smashboards, which you can find in the description below. If you haven't checked out the previous episodes in this series, you can click the card in the top right corner to get linked to a playlist containing all the previous episodes. Today, we're looking at 5 characters that, from the get-go, are very odd picks for the base roster. I'm going to preface this by saying that of these 5 characters, I don't see any of them making the base roster, but I still want to go over their potential movesets and why people would want to see them included. Today's 5 characters are Dr. Eggman from the Sonic series, owned by Sega, suggested by Bomber Blur, Bub and Bob from the Bubble Bobble series, suggested by Bobolito, Sans from Undertale, owned by Toby Fox, suggested by Mr. Lego 105, Phoenix Wright from the Phoenix Wright series, owned by Capcom, suggested by Professor Trash, and Fawful from the Mario and Luigi series, suggested by Shirok Demon Lord. Without further ado, let's begin, and be sure to leave your thoughts on these characters in the comments below. Of the 5 characters we're looking at today, Dr. Eggman is one of the few picks that I've seen gaining traction as of the reveal of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. As the main villain of the Sonic franchise, Eggman and his large IQ are a force to be reckoned with, the inventor able to create a variety of robots, machines, and minions to do his bidding. He has an extremely large arsenal of iconic weapons and appearances to choose from, and could work in a similar way to Bowser Jr., using his Egg Mobile as the basis of the entire moveset. He could produce various weapons such as a ball and chain, high-tech lasers, and the Badniks to help fight against his opponents. However, his moveset was never an issue. If that was the only thing holding Eggman back, he'd already be in the game. No. Eggman's big problem is that he's a third-party villain from a company that already has 2 third-party characters in-game, being Sonic and Bayonetta, owned by Sega. Firstly, we have never seen a third-party franchise gain more than 1 representative. Third parties are guests to the Brawl after all, so it makes sense that the focus would be on Nintendo characters, and in Eggman's case, Nintendo villains. If there was a choice to either add Eggman or add King K. Rool, the former wouldn't win simply because first-party IPs could take priority in the development process. That being said, if any third party were to receive a second playable character, I think the Sonic franchise has the most leeway, being the only third-party franchise to appear in 3 different Smash games, with all the others at 2 games apiece. Sonic is basically a mainstay for Smash Bros. At this point, so getting a second playable character wouldn't be out of the question. But would Eggman really be that second character? Honestly, I don't think so. If we're looking at iconic characters from the Sonic franchise, Tails and Shadow are far more prominent and haven't been disconfirmed yet. Shadow has the missing assist trophy and the Echo Fighter argument going for him, which I touched upon in episode 3 of this series, while Tails is definitively the player 2 of the Sonic franchise, and is a fan favourite. As such, Eggman gets a chance score of 5%. He's competing against all of the odds. The battle for a second rep from the Sonic franchise, the battle against Tails and Shadow, who both have completely fair claims for their spot on the roster, as well as competing against Nintendo villains for a spot. I just don't see it happening at all. As for a want score, 5% as well, I'm afraid. I've never been much of a fan of Eggman, and if there's a new Sonic rep, I'd like to see my boy Tails as the next potential fighter if they were to get a second representative. Yep, this is going to be a fairly interesting segment. Bub and Bob are the main characters from the Bubble Bobble franchise. They're a pair of dragon brothers, one green and one blue, who navigate through levels while blowing bubbles, defeating monsters, and collecting power-ups. Their first game released in 1986, but the series has been going strong with over 30 installments into the franchise, so the pair are certainly gaming icons in the traditional sense. They are third-party characters who, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, I believe are owned by Square Enix, though their games are developed by Taito, which is owned by Square Enix. The original Bubble Bobble was both an arcade game and an NES title, with the Bubble Bobble franchise containing a strong lineup of games that were released on Nintendo consoles. They would make an extremely interesting retro rep, potentially playing in a similar vein to the Ice Climbers, while using their unique abilities to stand out. With so many games to pull from, creating a moveset for the cute dragons would be pretty simple, and overall their aesthetic certainly agrees with Smash for the most part. They would be a perfect retro representative for Ultimate, and could come with an interesting Bubble Bobble based stage that could have pixelated Bub and Bob running around bubbling players as they try to escape, similar to how the Duck Hunt dog appears in his own stage. Their biggest issue comes from Square Enix. They are a third party, and Square Enix has many other franchises that, quite simply, would be pushed in place of Smash Bros. Ahead of Bubble Bobble. Final Fantasy already has a spot, but Square Enix has such a vast library of RPGs and, dare I say it, Tomb Raider to pull from. The Bubble Bobble would only be added if Sakurai was really set on their characters. As such, for a chance score, Bub and Bob get a 10% chance. You may think I'm mad, but I think these guys have a better shot than Dr. Eggman to get in the game. But at the same time, I don't have any hope for them getting into the base roster. I do think these guys would be a cool fighter though, so my want score is 80%. Researching these guys for this video really showed me how interesting they'd be in game, and maybe one day they'll get some representation. Honestly, I've joked about this character getting into Smash more times than I can count with my friends, so that should tell you how this is going to go. And I'm going to straight up rate Sans' chance score right now. Sans, from Undertale, gets a 0% chance score. Quite simply, it isn't going to happen. With that out of the way, I'd like to delve into why people are supporting Sans. Obviously, there's the memers who just want to plug characters from games with fan bases that are questionable, but I think Sans does have an interesting enough moveset that he could theoretically be kinda cool. Sans would use a mixture of bone magic and Gaster blasters. His side smashes, up smash and down smashes, could be his various different Gaster blaster attacks, his dodge could be a simple sidestep like he does in his Genocide Run fight, and his bones could be neutral attacks and could be dispersed throughout his moveset. His grabs could involve turning the opponent's soul blue and dragging them around, while his final smash could be a redone version of the final attack he uses in his boss fight in Undertale. He could also take inspiration from other portions of Undertale and use different types of magic, and could have some comedic moves that could involve hot dogs and the annoying dog character. He has a potential moveset, that's what I'm saying, but his chance score is a 0% because he doesn't have any reason to be in Smash Bros. Aside from the demands of a fan base. He's got no history with Nintendo, as Undertale isn't even released yet on the Switch, and there are simply other indie games that have more of a claim to a spot in Smash Bros. I think Sans being added, while it would appeal to his fan base, would upset more people than it would please. Imagine if Sans was added over King K. Rool, Shantae, Shovel Knight, etc. I'm a fan of Undertale. I did a full playthrough of the game, all routes. One of my biggest videos is an Undertale top 5. But even I can see that Sans, right now, has no place in Smash Bros. As such, my want score, and I'm sorry to say, is 0%. I love Sans, but Sans in Smash, that just doesn't sit well with me knowing that other indies like Shantae, Shovel Knight, or even Reimu got gypped out of a deserved spot. I guess since we talked about Professor Layton last week, it was only a matter of time before we talked about the veteran defense attorney himself, Phoenix Wright. Phoenix is the main character of the Ace Attorney game series, which has a prominent feature of Nintendo consoles. He is, however, owned by Capcom, and as such is a third-party character. However, he has a very similar situation to Professor Layton from our last episode, in that both of them all have their games on Nintendo consoles, both games use a visual novel style, though Ace Attorney is more traditional in that sense. Both of them represent strong male characters who seek justice and what is right. They even had a crossover game, so that's always worth noting. Phoenix Wright has the advantage though of having been in a fighting game before, Marvel vs. Capcom. As such, he already has a built moveset that has been used in a fighting game and could be adapted for Smash Brothers. He works in the setting and would fit in rather well as a unique fighter due to his lack of a traditional weapon. He'd have the strongest pointing finger of the cast, of course. Capcom at the moment is one of the better companies to be working with Nintendo. Their working relationship is on point, and with Ryu and Mega Man returning with added additions to both characters, Capcom is definitely someone Sakurai can negotiate with if it came to getting a third character. And unlike Capcom characters like Leon Kennedy or Zero, because Phoenix has only ever been on Nintendo consoles, and iOS and Android, he's got one of the closest relationships to Nintendo's consoles overall. This history is something we know Sakurai looks at when it comes to third parties, so Phoenix definitely has points in this department. My worry for Phoenix comes from the fact that, as of right now, no third party has a third playable character, and we don't know if that's going to be the case given Sakurai has warned us about not expecting too many newcomers. So it stands to reason that every character counts, and Phoenix just might not be that high of a priority character. First-party characters will always get the focus over the third-party characters when it comes to newcomers, I personally believe, especially given all three newcomers we've seen so far, Ridley, Daisy, and the Inkling, are first-party. So with that in mind, Phoenix gets a 25%. He'd need Capcom to have negotiated a third character, plus he's a third party who has rights to obtain, which could convolute things, and he wasn't one of the big ballot names back in 2015, so assuming the ballot has anything to do with the newcomers this time, his chances aren't crazy high. As for a want though, I'll give him a 50%, as I'm fairly neutral on Phoenix Wright. I still need to play his games, they are on my list, but I respect his character and I think he's kinda cool. And come on, an objection! Final Smash would be epic! For the final character of today's Rate Their Chances, we're taking a look at a character that may not have the best shot at being added to Smash Brothers, but is a character who many feel deserves more of a platform so that people can see them for what they are. Fawful is a major villain from the Mario & Luigi franchise, who was a side villain of Superstar Saga and the main villain of Bowser's Inside Story. So firstly, I want to get his chance score out of the way. To be honest with you guys, Fawful gets a 0% chance score. But he's a Nintendo character, and he's got a history as a main Mario & Luigi villain. What gives? Well, quite simply, the Mario & Luigi franchise doesn't exactly have much prominence in the Smash Brothers series. No stages, no references, Luigi doesn't have his Thunder Hand. Really, I'd be shocked if Fawful or any Mario & Luigi references made it through to Ultimate. But that isn't going to stop me talking about Fawful himself. He's an original character from the Mario & Luigi RPG series, and the only character to have a major role across two games in the franchise, which are easily known as the two best games in the franchise as well, being Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story. When it comes to his moveset, his headgear is the most obvious idea which could be used for his recovery move. Plus, he has battles from both games that you can draw inspiration from for a moveset. Firing deadly orbs like in Superstar Saga, or using dark portals in Bowser's Inside Story, Fawful comes from a series that makes the moveset, and would be the perfect first rep for the Mario & Luigi games. And on top of this, his personality is absolutely brilliant. With his English phrases and diabolical schemes, he's just a fan favorite character that people want to see. That being said, I'm going to wrap this segment up fairly quickly, as I've already given him a chance score, so his want score is around a 65%. Personally, if we get a new Mario rep, I'd rather see Geno first, then we get Fawful, but as far as a character goes, Fawful's got the personality and the presence to work well, especially as he represents a major villain of the Bowser's Inside Story game, which was a major game for many people's childhoods, which I think contributes to his popularity. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Rate Their Chances. I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a very weird group to rate. I wasn't really high on any of their chances except perhaps maybe Eggman, and to an extent Phoenix Wright. The others I was kinda iffy on, but I had a lot of fun rating these characters anyway, and now you can't suggest Sans anymore, so I've got one meme character out of the way. If you guys want to see your character rated, leave a comment down below with your character in the name. I use a comment randomizer to select each characters that I look at each episode, so on Monday I will be talking about 5 characters from these comments, so who knows, your comment might get picked. If you guys want to check out other Smash videos, I do Smash Brothers Leak videos, and I do other stuff as well. I also have a Discord, a public Discord that we've been using since before the Smash videos came out, and if you're interested in that, come and take a look. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye. Hey there guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I want to give a quick shout out to my Patreons. You can find them down below. If you want to become a patron yourself and get shout outs at the end of every video, consider checking the link in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a lot of fun with this video, and I will see you in the next Smash video. Goodbye.